Hey, what's up guys? It's Corey from Cruises Reviews. I hope you're having a great day today. I am super excited today because we are coming to you from one of my very favorite breweries in the whole United States. It's called Trimtab Brewing and it's in Birmingham, Alabama, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. Let's go. Okay, so just as a quick reminder of how we do brewery reviews, there are four major factors that go into our reviews, right? Number one, and most importantly, is always taste, right? We'll get to that at the very end. The second thing is variety, meaning how many beers and how many types of beers do you see when you go into a brewery? The third is what we call churn, right? So the churn factor is if I go into a brewery one time every single month, for an entire year, right? How different is the beer every month that I go in, right? So think of it as variety over time, right? And then the fourth and final factor is location and atmosphere, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the review. So let's talk about variety. I've already told you at the top of this video that this is one of my favorite breweries in the whole country. That said, the variety is not outstanding. You will not see a ton of different unique types of beer here. What you're going to get are a lot of experimental beers in a couple of categories: IPAs, stouts, and sours, okay? If you want really light beer, they don't have a lot of that. What they do instead is they have what they call, rec water. There it is. They have something called rec water, which is basically their version of spiked seltzer. Okay, so they do carry that for people who want something lighter, but generally speaking, most of their beer is pretty big, it's pretty bold, it's pretty experimental, but there's not a lot of variety. They usually only have 6 to 8 beers on tap at any given time. So for variety's sake, I'm only going to give Trimtab a 2 out of 5. So if you're wondering what I'm drinking today, it's actually super interesting. It is a sour beer, and it's a sour that is slightly salty. So it's almost like a Gosa, if you've ever had a Gosa, where it's almost like a little bit of salt water is in your beer, and it's delightful. Like, it's really, really nice. It's big, it's bold, it's interesting. It's got a lot of different things going on with it, but it's really good. So this is one of the reasons I like Trimtab, because this will never make it on the shelves, right? This is not something that we'll see in the grocery store. You have to come here to get it. And I think that's the best that a brewery can be in a lot of ways. It's a place to gather with really interesting, unique beer that you won't find anywhere else. So cheers to y'all. Oh, I mean, just awesome, yeah. Now, on the other side of the same coin, right, from variety is churn, right? Churn is where Trimtab shines. Every time you come here, you're gonna have half the beer list at least is going to be new. And that's if you come in every couple of days, really. Like every week, they're gonna be releasing new beers, different beers, interesting beers. Most of the beer that comes out of the actual brewery behind me is experimental, okay? What they do is they actually contract brew out of Ave Springs for their big flagship beers. What that does is it frees up their local brewery, right, their original brewery, to do interesting, fun things. I love this concept. I think it's awesome, and I think it produces a lot of really interesting and exciting beer. So for the churn, whereas the variety is not so great, for the churn, I would give it probably like a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, it's almost as good as it can be, just because when you walk in here, there's always something new. You will never walk into Trimtab and not see multiple new beers that you've never had before. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5. So let's talk about location. You've noticed so far that I've just been sitting in this back alley just because it's a little loud inside, and there are a lot of people on the other side of the building. So basically this is a big square building. On one side of the square you have parking. On two sides of the square you have you basically have seating areas. This is the quiet side. It's in an alley, and you'll notice behind me there are just a lot of picnic tables. this is a great spot to come and have a drink with a couple buddies when you're not looking for it to be loud. On the other side is a little more party-esque. They're gonna have the food truck over there. It's covered, so it's a little cooler, but it's gonna be a little louder. The music's going, it's a bit of a party scene, okay? So as much as a party scene can be in a brewery, right? But that said, I think the location is nice, but it's really adults, like for adults, okay? I wouldn't bring kids to hang out here and run around just because there's not anywhere for them to run around. And you'll see that in the footage that I shoot here in a few minutes. That said, the coolest thing about this place is that the inside portion of the brewery is like an art gallery, okay? So all the art on the walls is for sale. The other cool thing about this place is that on Friday and Saturday nights, they usually have a DJ here in the brewery. So it's a kind of a party atmosphere, especially at night. It's a happening place. It's definitely one of the like cool kid spots. I'm almost too old to be here at night, but it's awesome. So it's a different vibe than the other breweries we've done so far. It's a lot more artsy. It's a little more cool. It's a little more eclectic, but that's kind of the whole idea. It's kind of art over industry at Trimtab. So I love it. I'm going to give the overall location and atmosphere a 4 out of 5. Just to understand, when I give it a 4 out of 5, it's not as ideal for dogs and kids as some of the other breweries on this list. Okay, and we're up to the big one, right? The tough one that's always so subjective, taste, right? As you've heard, if you've watched any of my other videos, and if you haven't, please go check them out. But if you've watched any of my other videos about breweries in Birmingham, taste is so subjective. I always hesitate to give this because what I love isn't necessarily what you love. And it's not what your friend is gonna love. That said, my palate is for big, bold flavors. I like salty, I like sour, I like super hoppy, I like bitter. I mean, I just like things that are not super subtle. That's just me. So that said, what I run into is this place is like a 5 out of 5. Like, I mean, it is awesome. Everything I have here is delicious and it's tough to beat. But understand that if you've got somebody who's not a big beer person, if their primary go-to beer is Bud Light, do not bring them here necessarily because there's not much for them unless they're open to drinking something that's akin to a White Claw, right? They do have that helps. But if you want to bring them to a brewery that's big and bold, if you've got a beer lover, this is my first spot, right? For sure, the very first spot I'm gonna go is gonna be Trimtab. Because if they love beer, they're gonna find something that's interesting and unique that they've never had before. They're gonna incorporate different fruits, different flavors that nobody else has incorporated. So with that said, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5, but just understand there's a caveat that if people are not big beer drinkers, this is not your best location. So there you have it, guys. That is the end of my video today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this place is called Trimtab Brewing. It's about 2 minutes outside of downtown Birmingham, and I highly recommend that you check it out. I'll put a link in the description below just so you can find this place. But please do check out the other videos about the breweries in Birmingham. And in coming weeks, once I get done with all the breweries in the surrounding area, what I'll do is I'll come out with a list of my favorite breweries, maybe my top 5 or top 10 favorite breweries in the Birmingham area. So thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. Take care, guys. Till next time.